Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramakrishnaya. Letters of Swami Vivekananda, letter number 33, from a letter written to His Highness the Maharaja of Khetri, America, 1894. It is not the building that makes the home, but it is the wife that makes it, says a Sanskrit poet. Footnote: Na griham, griham ityahu, grihini, griham uchyate. And how true it is, the roof that affords you shelter from heat and cold and rain is not to be judged by the pillars that support it, the finest Corinthian columns though they be, but by the real spirit pillar who is the center, the real support of the home, the woman. Judged by that standard, the American home will not suffer in comparison with any home in the world. I have heard many stories about the American home, of liberty running into license, of unwomanly women smashing under the feet all the peace and happiness of home life in their mad liberty dance, and much nonsense of that type. And now, after a year's experience of American homes, of American women, how utterly false and erroneous that sort of judgment appears. American women, 100 lives would not be sufficient to pay my deep debt of gratitude to you. I have not words enough to express my gratitude to you. The Oriental hyperbole alone expresses the depth of Oriental gratitude. If the Indian Ocean were an inkstand, the highest mountains of the Himalayas the pen, the earth the scroll, and time itself the writer. Footnote: adapted from the Shiva Mahimna Stotram. Still, it will not express my gratitude to you. Last year I came to this country in summer, a wandering preacher of a far distant country without name, fame, wealth, or learning to recommend me. Friendless, helpless, almost in a state of destitution, and American women befriended me, gave me shelter and food, took me to their homes and treated me as their own son, their own brother. They stood, my friends, even when their own priests were trying to persuade them to give up the dangerous heathen. Even when day after day their best friends had told them not to stand by this unknown foreigner, may be of dangerous character, but they are better judges of character and soul, for it is the pure mirror that catches the reflection. And how many beautiful homes I have seen, how many mothers whose purity of character, whose unselfish love for the children are beyond expression, how many daughters and pure maidens, pure as the icicle on Diana's temple, and withal with such culture, education, and spirituality in the highest sense. In America, then full of only wingless angels in the shape of women? There is good and bad everywhere, true, but a nation is not to be judged by its weaklings called the wicked, as they are only the weeds which lag behind, but by the good, the noble, and the pure, who indicate the national life current to be flowing clear and vigorous. Do you judge of an apple tree and the taste of its fruits by the unripe, undeveloped, worm-eaten ones that strew the ground? Large, even though their number be sometimes, if there is one ripe, developed fruit, that one would indicate the powers, the possibility, and the purpose of the apple tree, and not hundreds that could not grow. And then the modern American women, I admire their broad and liberal minds. I have seen many liberal and broad-minded men too in this country, some even in the narrowest churches. But here is the difference. There is danger with the men to become broad at the cost of religion, at the cost of spirituality. Women broaden out in sympathy to everything that is good every way without losing a bit of their own religion. They intuitively know that it is a question of positivity and not negativity, a question of addition and not subtraction. They are every day becoming aware of the fact that it is the affirmative and positive side of everything that shall be stored up, and that this very act of accumulating the affirmative and positive and therefore soul-building forces of nature is what destroys the negative and destructive elements in the world. What a wonderful achievement was that World's Fair at Chicago, and that wonderful Parliament of Religions where voices from every corner of the earth expressed their religious ideas. I was also allowed to present my own ideas through the kindness of Dr. Barrows and Mr. Boney. Mr. Boney is such a wonderful man. Think of that mind that planned and carried out with great success that gigantic undertaking, and he no clergyman, a lawyer presiding over the dignitaries of all the churches. The sweet, learned, patient Mr. Boney, with all his soul speaking through his bright eyes. Yours, etc. Vivekananda. Letter number 34. Return to Swami Ramakrishnananda. This is an English translation of the original Bangla letter. Salutation to Bhagavan Ramakrishna, care of George W. Hale, Esquire, 541 Dearborn Avenue, Chicago, 19th March 1894. My dear Shashi, I have not written to you since coming to this country, but Haridas Bhai's letter, footnote, Haridas Viharidas Desai, Diwan of Junagadh. But Haridas Bhai's letter gives me all the news. It is excellent that Girish Chandra Ghosh, footnote, Girish Chandra Ghosh or Girish Babu, the great actor dramatist of Bengal and a staunch devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, and all of you have treated him with due consideration. I have no wants in this country, but mendicancy has no ode here, and I have to labor, that is, lecture in places. It is as cold here as it is hot. The summer is not a bit less hot than in Calcutta. And how to describe the cold in winter? The whole country is covered with snow, 3 or 4 feet deep, nay 6 or 7 feet at places. In the southern parts there is no snow. Snow, however, is a thing of little consideration here, for it snows when the mercury stands at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. In Calcutta, it scarcely comes down to 60 degrees, and it rarely approaches zero in England. But here your mercury sinks to -4 degrees or 5 degrees. In Canada, in the north, mercury becomes condensed when they have to use the alcohol thermometer. When it is too cold, that is, when the mercury stands even below 20 degrees Fahrenheit, it does not snow. I used to think that it must be an exceedingly cold day on which the snow falls, but it is not so. It snows on comparatively warm days. Extreme cold produces a sort of intoxication. No carriages would run, only the sledge, which is without wheels, slides on the ground. Everything is frozen stiff. Even an elephant can walk on rivers and canals and lakes. The massive falls of Niagara, of such tremendous velocity, are frozen to marble. But I am doing nicely. I was a little afraid at first, but necessity makes me travel by rail to the borders of Canada one day, and the next day finds me lecturing in South USA. The carriages are kept quite warm, like your own room, by means of steam pipes, and all around are masses of snow, spotlessly white. Oh, the beauty of it! I was mortally afraid that my nose and ears would fall off, but to this day they are all right. I have to go out, however, dressed in a heap of warm clothing, surmounted by a fur coat, with boots encased in a woolen jacket, and so on. No sooner do you breathe out than the breath freezes among the beard and moustache. Notwithstanding all this, the fun of it is that they won't drink water indoors without putting a lump of ice into it. This is because it is warm indoors. Every room and the staircase are kept warm by steam pipes. They are first and foremost in art and appliances, foremost in enjoyment and luxury, foremost in making money, and foremost in spending it. The daily wages of a coolie are 6 rupees, as also are those of a servant. You cannot hire a cab for less than 3 rupees, nor get a cigar for less than 4 annas. A decent pair of shoes costs 24 rupees, and a suit rupees 500. As they earn, so they spend. A lecture fetches from 200 up to 3,000 rupees. I have got up to 500. Footnote. For some time after the Chicago address, Swamiji lectured on behalf of a lecture bureau, which task, however, he soon gave up as curtailing his independence, and devoted most of the money thus earned to various charitable works in different parts of India and America. Of course, now I am in the very heyday of fortune. They like me, and thousands of people come to hear me speak. As it pleased the Lord, I met here Mr. Mazumdar. He was very cordial at first, but when the whole Chicago population began to flock to me in overwhelming numbers, then grew the canker in his mind. The priests tried their utmost to snub me, but the Guru is with me. What could anybody do? And the whole American nation loves and respects me, pays my expenses, and reveres me as a Guru. It was not in the power of your priests to do anything against me. Moreover, they are a nation of scholars. Here it would no longer do to say, we marry our widows. We do not worship idols and things of that sort. What they want is philosophy, learning, and empty talk will no more do. Dharmapal is a fine boy. He has not much of learning, but is very gentle. He had a good deal of popularity in this country. Brother, I have been brought to my senses. E nignanti nirartakam parahitam te ke na jani mahe. We do not know what sort of people they are, who for nothing hinder the welfare of others. Bhartrihari, brother, we can get rid of everything, but not of that cursed jealousy. That is a national sin with us, speaking ill of others and burning at heart at the greatness of others. Mine alone is the greatness, none else should rise to it. Nowhere in the world are women like those of this country. How pure, independent, self-relying, and kind-hearted. It is the women who are the life and soul of this country. All learning and culture are centered in them. The saying, Ya Shri Swayam Sukritinam Bhavaneshu, who is the goddess of fortune herself in the families of the meritorious Chandi, holds good in this country, while that other, Alakshmihi Papatmanam, the goddess of ill luck in the homes of the sinful, Ibid, applies to ours. Just think on this, great God. I am struck dumb with wonderment at seeing the women of America. Tvam Shri, Tvamishwari, Tvamri, etc. Dava, the goddess of fortune. Dava, the supreme goddess. Dava, modesty. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shakti Rupena Samstita. The goddess who resides in all beings as power. Ibid. All this holds good here. There are thousands of women here whose minds are as pure and white as the snow of this country. And look at our girls becoming mothers below their teens. Good Lord, I now see it all. Brother, yatra naryastu pujyante ramante tatra devataha. The gods are pleased where the women are held in esteem, says the old Manu. We are horrible sinners, and our degradation is due to our calling women despicable worms, gateways to hell, and so forth. Goodness gracious, there is all the difference between heaven and hell. Yatha tatyataha arthan vyadadhat. He adjudges gifts according to the merits of the case. He is the Lord to be hoodwinked by idle talk. The Lord hath said, Tvam Stri, Tvam Pumanasi, Tvam Kumara, Utava Kumari. Thou art the woman, thou art the man, thou art the boy and the girl as well. Shvetashvatara Upanishad. And we on our part are crying, Duram apasara re chandala, be off thou outcast. Kenaisha nirmita nari mohini etc. By whom was made the bewitching woman. My brother, what experiences I have had in the south of the upper classes torturing the lower. What bacchanalian orgies within the temples. Is it a religion that fails to remove the misery of the poor and turn them into gods? Do you think our religion is worth the name? Ours is only don't touchism, only touch me not, good heavens. A country, the big leaders of which have for the last 2000 years been only discussing whether to take food with the right hand or the left, whether to take water from the right hand or the left, whether to take water from the right hand side or from the left. If such a country does not go to ruin, what other will? Kalaha supteshu jagarti kalohi duratikramaha. Time keeps wide awake when all else sleeps. Time is invincible indeed. He knows it. Who is there to throw dust in his eyes? My friend, a country where millions of people live on flowers of the mohua plant, and 1 million or 2 of the sadhus, and 100 million or so of Brahmins suck the blood out of these poor people without even the least effort for their amelioration. Is that a country or hell? Is that a religion or the devil's dance? My brother, here is one thing for you to understand fully. I have travelled all over India and seen this country too. Can there be an effect without cause? Can there be punishment without sin? Sarva Shastra Puraneshu Vyasasya Vachanam Dhruvam Paropakarastu Punyaya Papaya Parapidanam. Amidst all the scriptures and Puranas, know this statement of Vyasa to be true, that doing good to others conduces to merit and doing harm to them leads to sin. Isn't it true? My brother, in view of all this, especially of the poverty and ignorance, I had no sleep. At Cape Comorin, sitting in Mother Kumari's temple, sitting on the last bit of Indian rock, I hit upon a plan. We are so many sannyasins wandering about and teaching the people metaphysics. It is all madness. Did not our Gurudeva used to say, an empty stomach is no good for religion? That those poor people are leading the life of brutes is simply due to ignorance. We have for all ages been sucking their blood and trampling them underfoot. To be continued. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.